All right, so I am in the process of memorizing this book, Tribe of Mentors. Obviously, I won't be able to memorize the entire book because that would be daunting and I would never get anything else done in life. But my goal is to actually take a nugget from each one of the people that's in this book. There's 130 people, and I want to be able to recall at least one or two nuggets from each person. So that way, if I'm ever having a conversation with someone and they say, hey, have you ever read The Tribe of Mentors? I could say, yeah, in fact, it's a great book. And in fact, there's a couple people that actually stand out to me that were in the book. There's one lady called Samin Nosrat. She's a cook. All her life, she loved cooking. And in fact, she decided to open up her own restaurant, which failed miserably. It failed. And she wanted to shut it down, but her partner encouraged her to keep the restaurant going. And this person was also her mentor as well. And during that process, one of her passions was also writing. She really wanted to learn how to write. So she audited a night course at UC Berkeley. And one of her instructors was Michael. And he encouraged her to write about her passions and all this kind of stuff. And eventually he asked her if she could teach him how to cook. And through that process, he kept prodding her that she should write her own book, come up with her own system for cooking, which she did. And she came up with a book called Salt, Fat, Acid, and Heat. So that's the name of her first book. And it actually spun off into a mini series documentary on Netflix. So that was kind of cool, where she traveled all over the world, trying out different spices, cooking, all this kind of stuff. So it's I watched a little bit of the documentary, not very much, but I do want to spend time watching the entire series over the weekend. She seems like a very interesting person. One of the things that she mentioned was her sleep was very valuable to her. She tries to get at least 8 hours sleep because she used to burn herself out all the time. And now sleep is probably one of her most important things. And one of the nuggets I took away is she would always write down her goals. That way, with the goals that she had, she was actually able to be able to say no to other people. So that helped her, helped strengthen her focus, her resolve, all that stuff, because she has a goal in mind, and anything outside those goals she could just say no to. And so that was kind of a lesson that I wanted to learn as well. So that's pretty cool. And one of the ways that she relieves stress, if life gets too stressful, especially if she's near an ocean, she loves to jump into the ocean. So that's pretty cool. So I thought that was neat. Then there's another gentleman that stood out to me. His name is Steven Pressfield. And the reason why he seems interesting is he's actually a screenwriter. And he actually wrote a book called The Legend of Beggar Vance, which was later turned into a movie starring Matt Damon and Will Smith, which was a bomb at the box office, but some people said it was good. I've never seen that movie. But anyways, he's one of those guys, like if you ask him, what is one piece of advice he can give someone, it would be, be a real man, be a cowboy, and, get dirty, get rough, all this kind of stuff. So work hard, and that was one of the things that he would encourage people to do, is to fail lots, fail often, because when you're failing, you're actually learning. So that was one of the takeaways that I got from that as well. So there's other people as well in the book, and like I said, I'm just starting to memorize this book. So those are two people. There's Susan Cain, who's also, I believe she wrote a book called Quiet, about something about introverts, and she actually has a YouTube video that has like over 12 million views. She talks about, introverts and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of interesting. There's also Terry Crews. There's Kyle Maynard, who was paraplegic and he actually climbed one of the mountains. I forget which mountain it's called. It's not crazy. I forget. But anyways, he actually is a national wrestling champion as well. He's got no arms and no legs. Can you believe that? So one of the things that's kind of interesting is one of his mentors was a Navy SEAL, and he said if you're not dead, you can't quit. So that stood out to me. So this is a fantastic book. So I'm planning on spending the next couple of weeks going through it and taking my notes. I'm writing notes in the book as well. And my plan is, like I said, to be able to stash away all 130 of these people, put it in my book palace, and just stash it away for a rainy day. That's it. So there you go. I hope this helps encourage you to read to memorize. So if you're going to read a book, try and memorize the book as much as you can. Try and remember what's in the chapter. Remember 2 or 3 points in the chapter. And that way, if you store it somewhere, like in your house, in your backyard, in my garden, like I got a couple of different books right now that are stashed away throughout my house, and I mentioned those in other videos. They're still there, like The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, Be Obsessed or Be Average, and then David Hollis's other book, Get Out of Your Own Way. So I'm reading that one as well. Drives my wife crazy because she's like, so what book are you reading today? And I have like 4 or 5 books going all at once, so it's kind of crazy. But anyways, I like doing it. I'd rather do that than watch the news, to be honest. So I got caught up in the news probably 3-4 weeks ago, and I was just watching the numbers every single day. COVID-19, what are the numbers in New York City? What are the numbers in California and Washington, all this kind of stuff? What's the numbers in Alberta versus Saskatchewan and BC and all this stuff? And after a while, I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling safe. I'm working on this garden with my wife. We actually ripped out the grass, planted a bunch of plants, and I've never done that before. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to try and enjoy the summer. I plan on reading a lot. Last year I read just over 90 books. So this year I don't think I could top that. I read a lot. And because I'm diving into this and trying to remember stuff, I don't consider myself a super fast book reader, but I could read 200 pages between 2 to 4 hours, depending how familiar I am with the concepts that are being taught in the book. I'm not a real fiction guy. Like, I don't really listen to fiction. I'd rather watch a movie about fiction. But one of the gentlemen, again, I think his name is, I think it was Steven Pressfield, that actually Timothy Ferriss asked him what was one of his favorite books, and he also wrote The War of Art. Well, one of his favorite books was the Peloponnesian Wars by Thucydides. Sounds kind of weird. All terms and names that I've never heard of before in my life. So basically, it's basically a war, about 27-year war between Sparta and Athens, if you want to look at the big picture, with Corinth and all these other entities involved as well. And it's actually quite brutal. When he said that, I'm like, I'm in. So I downloaded the audio book, and I'm listening to that while I work as well. And it's actually quite fascinating because the person, Thucydides, hope I'm saying his name right, actually took time away from the war to be able to transcribe everything that he saw going on with the war, either through first-hand knowledge or through people that he knew that were coming back from the battlefield. And so he would document everything from eyewitness accounts, all this kind of stuff, and he was not biased at all. He tried to make it, he tried to portray it in a way that it would be more historical, good or bad. This is what it is. And Steven Pressfield said that if you want to learn about democracy and how it works and how it could also fail, you need to read this book. So I'm like, yeah, okay, this is kind of interesting, because there's riots right now going on in Seattle, with some warlord taking over, 6 to 8 blocks or whatever. So I heard, I haven't watched it, but the beauty about not watching the news is you can catch up with people. You can somebody can come up to you and say, hey Shane, did you watch the news today or last night about so-and-so? And I'm like, no. And in 5 minutes, you're caught up with the news. That saves me hours of time, because I'm not kidding. I would spend probably 2 to 4 hours every single day listening to the news. I'd listen to CNN, Fox News 24/7, Bloomberg. I would listen to the Patriot. I would go to the other side, back and forth, and all this kind of stuff. And after a while, I'm like, you know what? I just want to work on my garden. I want to read. Is that okay if I just read? So anyways, there you go. So hope that encourages you a little bit to consider trying to remember as much as you can when you're reading. What I like to say is try memorizing to read. Not just reading, but try and memorize to read. So there you go. Thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be constantly uploading videos about books that I've read, books that I'm memorizing, and trying various techniques and all this kind of stuff. And if that's of interest to you, if you have any techniques or strategies that help you when it comes to reading books, let me know that as well. And that's it. So thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next video.